this free trade journal software that we're bringing out. And my brain is completely fried. So I want to go ahead and get some drinks so that I can work through the night. So what we're going to do is, let's go on a late night drive through the city, grab some drinks so I can keep working. And whilst we're doing it, I want to tell you a little story. Now, when I first started trading, when I was a couple of years into the craft, not profitable yet, but getting there, I thought I'd made it. There was a time where I thought that I had truly succeeded, right? And I thought that I'd cracked it. I got past my phase 1 and phase 2 back in the day of me trading CFDs, and I'd passed my account on Alpha Capital. Now, I thought I'd made it. That was me in the big leagues. I was going to start absolutely printing cash. Needless to say, you know where this story's going. That is not what happened. I did not print cash, and I ended up failing that same account that I just passed. So the reason I'm telling you the story is because not only did I just fail that account, I then went ahead and bought 2 more 50k accounts, which back in the day was around $1,000 worth of accounts, and I failed them in one day. And that was one of the biggest turning points in my career, because that was just a stark reminder to me that trading can literally take you from the highest high down to the lowest low. And after I passed those accounts, after I went ahead and ended up failing those second accounts and the one that had been passed, I sat down that night and just was in pieces. I was in tears. I sat like in a movie in my shower back in the UK and just bawled my eyes out, because I'd probably just, first of all, lost the opportunity to make money on the funded account that I'd been spending so many years towards, and then I also lost the money on that account plus the 2 more that I just bought and failed. And to me at the time, that was like over a month's salary. Can you imagine losing over 1 month's salary in just prop firm challenges in just one day? It was genuinely heartbreaking. And then you might be thinking, why the fuck are you telling me this? This is sad, this is ridiculous. Maybe you think it's not even true. And the reason I'm telling you that, you might be thinking that's all doom and gloom, is because immediately after that, the next day, I realized shit needed to change. This was my final wake-up call. And that's what I'm getting onto in this video. Now, a couple of days afterwards, like I said, I had the wake-up call, and I ended up locking in to a level that I've never locked in before. I ended up getting to the point where I studied my entire strategy again. I went through all of my data. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that the next week I passed a prop firm account. It's just not how it happened. 6 months down the line, I'd given up on prop firms. I thought they were a scam. I thought they didn't work. So I decided to go to a live brokerage. For me, that was immediately easier. Trading my own money, smaller risk, but it was starting to compound. And I started to become profitable. Whether it was just $50 a week, $50 a month, whatever it may have been at the time, I had consistent profitability after 6 months, and it all stemmed from this one wake-up call. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you right now are facing the darkest times in your trading, the absolute depths, the bottom of the barrel, let's say, of your trading career, I promise you, hope is still around the corner. Because actually, out of those dark moments, out of those lonely, cold nights where you think you're absolutely done for and you think that you're not good enough, you're not cut out for this, that is when you go ahead and you actually end up making something out of yourself and becoming profitable. Now, realistically, that's the point of this video. I want to talk to you first of all about my story. I just shared one with you right now. I want to talk to you about where I am right now, and then I also want to talk to you about how, if you're feeling at rock bottom right now, if you're struggling, if maybe you thought that 2026 was your year and it hasn't started off that way, maybe January was a difficult month, you're not alone. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to get through that and how I've gotten through similar months. Now, speaking of January, we're in the same position right now. If you had a bad January, guess what? So did I. Now, a bad January currently for me was not negative. I had a positive month, so I survived. But I could have done way better. There was things that crept back into my trading, old habits, old issues that realistically shouldn't be there in my trading still.
I ended up giving into FOMO a few times, over trading in January, and it was just not the month for me. Now, I can go ahead and blame price action, but if you've seen any of these conversations before, then you'll know we don't blame external factors over here. January price action, yes, was not very good at all. But it also didn't help that I wasn't following my plan. I wasn't taking the right trades, or maybe I was taking the right trades, but then the price action would affect me. And instead of, you know, getting stopped out break even and then it running to my TP, I'd get stopped out break even and then I'd re-enter back in. Or, you know, it was whatever it may be. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're struggling right now in the start of 2026, I know so many people would have gone ahead and started the year off by saying, 2026 is my year, January, new year, new me, I'm gonna make it as a trader. This is gonna be the year I finally become profitable. And inevitably get cooked in January. You're not alone, because I got cooked a little bit too. But going forward now, here's my plan. I have built up my funding again. If you remember last year, I was at $1 million in funding, and then I got $100,000 in payouts in Q4, had $31,000 in November alone, then I had $32,000 in December. Doesn't matter. The point is, by the end of December, those accounts were gone. They were blown, they were absolutely done for, and I was back down to $0 in funding. Now, January, I passed my accounts again back up to just over $500,000 in funding, which I can go ahead and use to become the old trader, right? To go ahead and make the money that I'm used to making. But I actually really had to look at myself in the mirror. I had to go ahead and look at myself and think, you're not behaving in the way you used to. I was thinking back to those months last year where I was printing, well, every month last year I made money, where I was printing money, and the reason being is because I was so disciplined. I was so locked in. I was so focused and dedicated. I was taking one trade, you know, adequate risk. I was doing everything like a perfect and precision trader. And then January came around, and I think, to be honest, I think a lot of you guys will relate to this, but I got too eager, I got too excited, and maybe I was too motivated. But I was looking to make serious amounts of money, and whenever you try and squeeze as much money out of the market, that's when you go ahead and get cooked. My granddad actually used to tell me a little saying he used to tell me when I was playing cricket and football. If you try and hit the ball too hard, if you try and hit the ball as hard as you possibly can, it doesn't go very far. But when you're in flow state, when you just swing the bat or swing your foot, you end up kicking it perfectly. Same applies in trading, right? When you're trying to force money out of the market, when you're trying to squeeze every little extract of juice out of the market, what ends up happening is you get absolutely cooked, because you're not trading how you should. You're not trading according to your rules or according to your plan, and you end up getting absolutely ruined. So I guess that's the first lesson for this video. Normally when we have these conversations, I give you lessons, and that can be the first lesson of this one. Don't try and squeeze money out of the market. It is never going to be beneficial for you. Get into the flow state. That should be your main focus. Your number one focus when you come to the charts always should be getting into the flow state. It should be getting to the charts and knowing second nature what you need to do, knowing your plan and your entry model like the back of your hand, knowing that all you have to do is get to the charts and execute, and you will make money. The money comes as a byproduct. It doesn't come as something that you aim for, something that you hunt for. That is not how trading works. So that's lesson number one. Now, going forward from this point on, it's a new year, it's a new you. But to those people who are struggling, maybe you hit a new low this year, maybe you hit a new depth that you never thought you could. Brother, if that's you, then I'm with you, and I'm talking to you directly now. If you blew your funded account, or maybe you got close to a payout and then blew the account and didn't get the payout, I know exactly how that feels. And if that's you, then I promise you the depths that you're in right now are the only thing that is going to take you forward to new highs. And it doesn't even have to be trading related. Maybe you're feeling in depth in life. Maybe your girl just broke up with you. Maybe you're out of shape. Maybe you're overweight, or maybe your parents are going through a divorce, whatever it may be. Maybe you're feeling at a new low in life. And when you are feeling that, I promise you, I know it feels horrible during the time. I know it feels horrible when you're in the moment, but those moments are the moments that shape you as a trader. They are the moments that shape you into the person that you need to become, and the person that you will become if you act accordingly. And there's one way you can do that, and it's very simple. You need to take the situation that you're in right now, understand where you are, and be honest with yourself about where you are, and then make an action plan. Make a plan of where you want to be, set out your goals, and then figure out in detail how you are going to go ahead and attack those goals. And the same applies in trading. I just mentioned being honest with yourself about where you are and where your current situation is. So many people, after they've blown accounts or after they take a loss on the markets, they're not honest with themselves. They get into this state of denial where they realistically can't admit to themselves that they're now down $5,000 or that they're now without a funded account. So if that's you, directing this to trading and relating this directly to trading, you need to relate and understand with where you are right now. You need to understand what is going on in your trading, and you need to figure out what you're doing wrong. So, for example, that day that I blew those 2 funded accounts, okay? That day, this guy wants a raise. Yeah, he has a Corvette that I'd smoke, yeah. Alright, we're gonna race this guy. Smoked. I started way later than him as well. He's coming back. There's mad speed cameras down here though. I think I beat him, but guy's loving it. The point I was trying to make was, if you are someone who is struggling this month, you had a bad month in January, this video is going to be dedicated towards you. So the only way to progress from having a bad month, to progress out of a hole, out of the negative, you know, so many people get into this gambling mentality of, oh, I'm in the hole, I'm 10K down. You have to accept that you're 10K down, and only then will you be able to move on. You accept that you're down, and then you need to figure out a realistic plan to get out of it. There is nothing that can come from being in denial about your current situation. If I would have not blown those accounts in one day back all those years ago, if I would have blown them and then gone, oh yeah, but it doesn't actually matter, I'm in denial, you know, then realistically, where would I be right now? Where would I actually be? Now, there's literally nothing that would have come out of me denying that whatsoever. If I would have just gone ahead and moved on, I would have got nowhere. What I decided to do instead was I decided to go ahead and actually fix the issue, fix the problem, which was me overtrading, over-risking, gambling, and all this sort of stuff. So first of all, obviously, if you had a poor January, then step number 1 is going to be to get out of that by going ahead and making a change to your trading, understanding where you're at right now, and then making a change. But you need to go back and dive deep into what you've been actually doing. If you've been journaling your trades, then you can go ahead and review your data, review what's been going wrong, what's been going right, and figure out what the issue is and change, you know, make the necessary changements that you need to make. From that point, if you haven't been journaling, then I guess that could be the problem. You need to go ahead and journal in order to go ahead and fix the issues, because until you journal, how are you going to know what you've been doing wrong? You literally will not. And realistically, from that point onwards, you have to forget about it. Everyone talks about the losses, they talk about how much it affects their psychology, and this is completely true. When you have these burdens on your psychology, when you have these issues that you're holding, that you're carrying, thinking about how much you lost last month or how many accounts you blew, you are never going to become profitable, because that's the only thing that's on your mind, getting out of those holes, making your money back. And that just simply does not work. It keeps you out of that flow state that I was talking about earlier. It keeps you out of the right mindset to be trading. You come to the charts with the wrong mindset. You're thinking about making money back, and this is simply not how trading works. And for me, it was always the same. I had the exact same issues. I would keep mental track without even thinking or even wanting to do it. I would keep a mental track on how much I was down that month, how much money I'd lost on funded accounts. And when I came to the charts, even if I was making money, let's say my account was up $2,000 that month, or let's be realistic, back in the day, $300 that month, all I could think about was the fact that, yeah, I'm up $300, but also I blew X amount of accounts last month, so now I'm actually down 700. So I try and force more trades to get my profit to 700. When I force those trades, the only thing that would happen would be very simply, I'd lose the profit I already had. And it's a vicious cycle like that just repeats and repeats and repeats. So I've given you a plan right now. Step number one is very simple. Step number one is figure out where you are, your exact situation, and come to terms with the fact you lost. Step number two is to go ahead and make a plan of how you're going to change this. But first of all, you need to figure out what's going wrong. Step number three, you need to actually go ahead and make the amendments. And step number four is forget about the losses, forget about the negative things, and clear your mind. And if you do that, brother, then I promise you, you can dig yourself out of the hole that you're in. You can dig yourself out of these negative habits. Because realistically, I know these videos that I make are focused on the negatives, are focused on the bad things, because it gets more views and you guys love to hear it. You love to hear about how you can get out of overtrading, how you can get out of that emotional state. Trading is a fun thing. We're here for a positive time. We're here to make money, right? We're not here to be a pity party and struggling with all these different things and being sorry for ourselves. Trading is a cool, fun thing to do. And it's one of the best jobs in the world, so you should be grateful that you're even able to do it. So stop thinking so negatively and get your mindset out of that loss and scarcity based mindset, and I promise you, brother, that is when you go ahead and actually make money. Because for me it was the same. When I actually was able to take myself out of the scarcity mindset, I started making fuckloads of money. And the way I was able to do that was, first of all, by moving back in with my parents, which I know not all of you will have the ability to do, but it was done by moving back in with my parents. And because of that, I was not spending as much money, and I was able to go ahead and actually not worry about cash. Now for you, that might be different. It might be getting a job or saving more money by cutting down on Netflix or your fucking video games, whatever it may be, right? Figure out a way that you can get your balance sheet at home a lot lighter. So you're not having to worry about rent every month or expenses. And I know that's easier said than done, but realistically, you're not going to get out of that mindset where you're worried about money, worried about losing trades, if you're still thinking about the fact that your rent is X amount this month and you can't afford it. So that's always my number one advice to you guys and to students in general is, you need to figure out a way externally, outside of trading, to give yourself some breathing room. And once I did that, that was when I was able to start saving money, and the profit that I was making on trades, I was able to reinvest back into more funded accounts or into deposits on my brokerage. And that led to more money being made. And you guys know it's a spiraling compound effect. And realistically, once you start the compound, once you start the snowball, it never stops. It's like in the gym, once you get the six pack, it's so easy to keep it. The hard thing in the first place is to go ahead and actually get rid of that fat and start training your abs to the point where you can see your six pack. Very, very simple analogy there, but it applies directly to your trading. Now, going forward though, looking forward, because it's not all about looking backwards. 2026 has just begun. It's the beginning of the year. We're 1 month in. Remember the video that I made at the start of the year? If you haven't watched it, then go and watch it, but most of you will have watched it, where I spoke to you about making goals for the year, making plans, and making detailed breakdowns of how you're going to achieve everything. Well, this is my monthly check-in, I guess. How have you done? Have you made progress towards that goal you have for the end of the year? You should be 1/12 of the way in right now. And that doesn't mean 1/12 of the way in terms of money, right? Because we know trading is non-linear. It means 1/12 of the way. Have you started to implement the habits that you wanted to implement? Have you started to do the right things when you come to the charts? And I want you to answer honestly with me in the comments down below. How has your January been? How has your January been in terms of everything, in terms of results of your trading, in terms of, exactly the habits that you're putting in? How has your life changed for the better since 2026, since you watched that first video that I made this year? Because I can tell you for a fact, I'm going to be open about my life right now. 2025 was an unbelievable year for me, absolutely unbelievable. But the one thing that I did let slip towards the end of the year, I was making more money than ever. Everything was going well in terms of my business. Everything was better than ever, but my health was starting to slip. I was letting junk food come in because I was so busy. I started smoking a lot more. And realistically, I was feeling the brunt of it. I was not able to perform as well. My work wasn't going as well. So that has been my New Year's resolution, to keep my businesses performing as high as they are, to keep trading performing as well as it was. And that is a work in progress, but obviously trading is doing relatively well, so that's not a problem. But we are making massive progress on the health front. I am making massive progress on the health front. I've eaten so clean. I've been hitting the gym every single day, been doing my cardio every single day, and most importantly, I stopped smoking. So you can see right now, just take some inspiration from me. I've actually implemented my habits that I told you guys I was going to do at the start of the year. And that change immediately has a knock-on effect. It has that snowball effect I was talking to you guys about. It allows you to go ahead and actually start progressing on other things, because when you get those small tasks done, like me not having a cigarette or me eating clean and going to the gym, now I'm able to get to the charts and think, holy shit, I'm already on a roll. I've already got that momentum going forward. So then I'm able to go ahead and actually perform on the charts. I'm able to stay disciplined. I'm able to go ahead and actually make money and stick to my plan. And it feels unbelievable. I feel unbeatable right now. Everything starts to perform, not another race. Everything starts to perform and everything starts to, snowball once you put those habits in place. And it feels unreal. And I want you to feel the same way, brother. I want you to have the same thing going on, because realistically, you will feel like a god when you start to do the right things. So ask anyone who's in shape and making money. It's the best feeling in the world. No alcohol, no drug, no addiction can ever compete with the dopamine and the satisfaction that you get from being in shape, driving down the road in the nicest car. Like right now, beating that guy in the race. We just raced a fucking Corvette, smoked it. Now I get an ego boost from that. I get an ego boost that when I walk in the room, I know I have one of the best physiques. I get an ego boost that I know I have one of the biggest bank balances, right? And that's not me saying that to flex. I could not care less about the flexing aspect. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand how good it feels, and I want you to get the motivation from it, from me saying these things as a wake-up call. That holy shit, I'm missing out on so much, because you are missing out on so fucking much. It's absolutely unreal. And everything that I just described, the car, the physique, the trading ability, the payouts, the money, it's all behind one thing. It's all behind discipline. It's all behind sticking to your plan and having a good system in place. Once you can get, I know I just said one thing, but it's all one component of a bigger thing, a bigger machine. And once you can get that one thing in place, that, system that is your trading in place, all of those things will start to happen. So stop trying to force the money, stop trying to force the payouts, the past accounts. Just focus on going ahead and actually doing the right things day in, day out, because you know what the right things are. You know what is the right thing you need to be doing when you get to the charts. You know you shouldn't be taking 50 trades a day. You shouldn't be risking 5% per trade. You shouldn't be taking a trade just before the candle closure or before the setup forms because you think it might be going in this certain direction. Why the hell would you do that? You know it's not the right thing to do, so why would you do it? And it's just discipline, and it's very, very simple. But once you get that actually down, and once you understand that the bigger picture will fall into place once you have this discipline in place, you are going to smash it. And I know for a fact how tempting it is to try and risk more until you made back your losses, or if you're starting with a small balance, I'm just going to over risk until I get to a bigger balance and then I can trade properly. It never happens. Name a single gambler that's gone, yeah, I'm just going to gamble until I get out of debt and then I'll stop. They don't, right? They don't do it because they're addicted to it. And the same way that they're addicted to gambling, you're addicted to the thrill and the dopamine of overtrade. So brother, February has just begun. On the date of me recording this, it's the 4th of February. We've had our first month of trading, and it's been a good one. But if it hasn't been a good one for you, and this is the point of this video, you have 11 months left. There is absolutely no rush for you to go ahead and recover anything. There's no rush for you to go ahead and worry about making money back, all right? Because when you go ahead and start to trade your plan properly, when everything falls into place and you become profitable, the money will make itself back tenfold. I've told this story to you guys before, but when I started trading, I put $20,000 into this shit. I went into credit card debt of over $10,000 to try and become a trader. And I, for so long, was trying to make back my money. And when I stopped trying to make back my money, that is when I started actually making it back. And since then, I've made it back 20-fold, 30-fold, 40-fold. So realistically, once you can figure out your mentality, once you can figure out your emotions and get that system in place, you're going to be more than good to go. Absolutely more than good to go. I'm going to stop at this shop quickly, because that was actually what I came out to do, and then we'll get back to the video. Someone just shouted at me across the street for an iPhone charger. Fuck that. So anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about, I don't know, I had a long conversation with the guy in the shop, I'm not gonna lie. I see him every single night. Bro's from, oh fuck, I'm gonna mess it up now. Just recording? Yeah. Bro's from Nigeria, I believe, one of the African countries. My bad. But, good guy. And he saw me on socials and he was like, you're a trader, no way. And I think he's been watching my YouTube course, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, like I said, right, the year is going forward. It's very important, I believe, as a trader to look into the future, rather than so many people think about what happened in the past. And actually, there's a very good quote on this that I read. And it's not really trading related, but I can't remember who said it, but they said depression is focusing too much on the past, and anxiety is focusing too much on the future. And this is so unbelievably true when it comes to trading, because if you spend your time focusing on the past, you're thinking about the losses that you've had, the accounts that you've blown, and the mistakes that you've made, which you need to do to refine your trading. But spending too much time on that can only be a bad thing, because it ruins your mentality. And then looking too far into the future only results in FOMO, in greed, in taking trades too early, because you're so eager to get those payouts and you're thinking about the result and not the process. So what you need to go ahead and do is focus on the present, what you're doing right now on the charts. When you get to the charts, what are you doing? How are you doing your analysis? When you're taking the trade, are you doing the right things that you know you need to do? Are you risking the right amount? Are you taking the right positions? Is this an A+ setup? And once you can focus solely on the now, the current moment in your trading, that is when you can go ahead and become profitable. It is that simple. But realistically, once you've got that down, that is literally it. So we're going to look forward to the future in terms of what might happen. But realistically, this year, if you learn one thing from this video, I want it to be you focusing on the process. Focus on the process, focus on doing the right things, and I promise you the rest will fall into place. And realistically, that is it. I wanted to check in with you guys for the month. I wanted to figure out how your January has been. So please let me know down in the comments. If you had a poor January, please reflect on the steps that I've spoken about in this video. Think about everything that I said and go and watch the other conversations just like this that we've had, because realistically they are life-changing, absolutely life-changing. And if you want help with this, and you want to go ahead and actually become profitable, you want some guidance, and you want a system that you can actually go forward and use day in, day out, then click the top link in the description and book a call with me so that you can go ahead and have this system and get the same results as me and my other students are getting without having to worry about going through this year 2026 on your own. I know it's so tough, it's so difficult, so I'll do everything for you. I'll give you the setups, I'll give you the system and the strategy that is back tested and data proven, and then I will hold your hand every single day. You get access to me day in, day out, so that you can't FOMO, you can't overtrade, you can't make these mistakes that you keep making, because I will be there to personally hold your hand and stop you. So if you want that, then go ahead and click the top link in the description, and otherwise drop a like on the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.